In this video, I'm breaking down, is Medellín still worth it in 2026? Now, I look at this from three categories: prices, politics, and safety. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is prices. Now, the prices in Medellín have obviously gone up over the past, I don't know how many years. Quite frankly, inflation is just going to happen anywhere and everywhere. But Medellín is actually a special case just because there has been a huge influx of foreign direct investment, a huge influx of just foreign tourism. And so we've just seen a huge price spike in general. That's in real estate and that's in consumer prices. So if we look at the tourist area, which is El Poblado, Provenza, Manila, Parque Lleras, we have seen such a huge increase in prices on all fronts. Like hotels cost more, Airbnbs cost more, food costs more, everything costs more money in that area. And that area is just the center of gravity for these price spikes. If you go away from that area, you're going to see a huge drop in prices in the city. But prices in general throughout the city have indeed gone up. And that's due to tourism, foreign investment, and just inflation across the globe. Another thing that matters when we talk about prices is the currency conversion. So years past, we saw 5,000 Colombian pesos to the dollar. Now that was a short-lived experience, but it wasn't that long ago, so that a lot of people who are going to Medellín now realize that you're getting 3,500 to the dollar and your purchasing power is not as great as it used to be. All right, so now let's talk about politics. So I'm not a political analyst. I'm not going to get too deep into the politics in this video, but the politics that I think do matter to people who want to stay long term is the digital nomad visa. Now, the digital nomad visa still exists, but it is more difficult to get in 2026. You need to bring several documents with you to apply for the digital nomad visa. You're going to need an FBI background check, and you're going to need an employment letter. You're going to have to get these documents notarized, apostilled as necessary. So what does notarization mean? That means you get a notary to sign that you signed the document or that it's an official document. Obviously, if you get an employment letter, you can't necessarily get the employment letter itself notarized, but what you would do is go to a notary and you would write a letter saying that this is an official letter from your employer, and you would have the notary sign that, right? Then you can send that to the State Department of your state, like if you live in New York, and they would apostille that document. Apostille means to prepare a formal diplomatic statement saying that this is an official government notarized document. And so you have to do the same thing for the FBI background check, only you're sending that to the U.S. State Department to be apostilled for Colombia. So point blank, it's way more difficult now to get the digital nomad visa. In addition to that, the prices for the digital nomad visa have increased, and the waiting times have increased as well, because the wait time is just, or the number of submissions has increased. So that's the politics of it. Finally, let's talk about safety. So is Medellín safe? In general, I'm going to say that Medellín is safe. It's no more dangerous in terms of statistics than your average dangerous American city. That said, let's talk about it on a more personal level. Things happen. Like, we always are seeing stories where people have gone out on a date with someone they met on a dating app. They didn't meet that person prior to taking them home or going to their home. Someone gets drugged, and you all have heard the stories, I'm sure. So that is still a thing. But I will say that the security measures being taken have increased. So they have what's called the Abrazo de Lleras, which means the hug of Lleras. So Parque Lleras is the area where a lot of things go down, or a lot of things begin to go down. And the city wants to change that image, right? So they've put up a security perimeter around the park. If you go to Provenza, Parque Lleras area, you're going to see a lot of police officials. You're going to see a lot of safety personnel. And overall, they really are trying to change the image. And by increasing the security levels or the security personnel on the ground, I'm going to argue that it actually does make the area safer. Okay? So yeah, that's safety in a nutshell. And that's my opinion. So based on all these things that we've spoke about, do you all think that Medellín is still worth it in 2026? Now, let me just say a few other things. The weather is still amazing, right? The weather is absolutely amazing. If you look at the winter from the last year, the northeast of America, or the United States, really got hit hard with, 20 inches of snow, 15-degree weather over, weeks at a time. That's not going to happen in Medellin, okay? Additionally, the flight distance hasn't changed. It is still 3 to 5 hours from the East Coast of the United States, and that's a pretty short trip compared to like trying to go to Europe or Asia, okay? And finally, the community is amazing. The culture is amazing. There's so much going on there with all that investment. There's just more and more opportunity for activities and cultural events and so on and so forth. So Medellin is still a fun place to be. But the prices are the prices, the politics are the politics. And, like I said, I think the safety has actually improved. So, yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Is Medellin still worth it based on all this information, or are you going to start looking elsewhere? Let me know.